Welcome to the podcast. We're glad you're here. It's a weekly dive into the depths of security and strategic missions of
Welcome to the FRC Debrief, a forum where mission, technology, and reality converge. Each episode, we take a measured look beyond vendor noise to examine what truly matters to federal, defense, and national security leaders. Operational outcomes, risk reduction, and mission assurance. Through candid conversations with practitioners, partners, and innovators, we aim to translate complexity into clarity, so decisions are informed, deliberate, and worthy of the mission they support. Today marks the first episode of FRC Debrief, and we felt it was appropriate to begin with a conversation about where we've been, where we are, and where we are going. Thank you for joining us, and let us begin. Today, I'm joined by Jeremy Young, Chief Executive Officer of FRC. Jeremy leads the firm's strategy, culture, and long-term vision, working closely with government customers and industry partners across defense, intelligence, and civilian agencies. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know you're a busy man. Before we dive in, for those who may not know you personally, could you briefly introduce yourself and walk us through the companies you lead and how they fit together?
Well, first off, thanks, Max. Appreciate the invite and congratulations on the setup. It's fantastic in here. We'll work on more of the true podcasting area here soon for you guys.
Appreciate that.
But no, I really do appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. It's great to be here and be a part of this and seeing folks like you and Patrick and doing all this great work around here for FRC. Real quick from my side, as a quick background, I've been in this IT space and government space for probably longer than I care to admit at this point. It's been about 28, almost 29 years of doing this. Yeah. I look a lot younger, that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's been a long trip for me, and it's been a great journey though. And really, from my background, I've worked in everything from the value-added reseller areas to distribution to large OEMs, smaller OEMs. I've done things. Really lived and traveled all over the world a few times over on doing this type of stuff. One of the things I've loved about this industry is that, number one, you work in the tech industry. This is one of the most fascinating times in human history with technology. And we get the privilege of being here at this time to witness it and be a part of it. But it's always changing. And so something like that is always great for me to be around because there's always something new and exciting. And then the other thing, which I love, it's about the market we get to work in with the U.S. federal government and state, local education, global public sector. But it's like the sun never sets on your account, on your mission. And there's always something to be done. And there's so many different verticals, every vertical that's applicable in the commercial space, whether it's healthcare or energy or defense or farming, agriculture, we see that every day. And I always sit there and say, I'm a great person at a cocktail party, right? Because you can actually sit there and have those types of conversations with just about anybody on something. Having that piece has been really, really cool.
Wonderful. No, that sounds like a heck of a journey. I'm only 34 years old. Been working.
Let's not get into the question about what you were doing when I was a particular age. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Spare me on that one. But, actually, the other cool thing, too, I'll always sit there and say, I've always had this entrepreneurial bone, right? And being able to do something with it. And even when I was in the, working at OEMs or throughout my career path, I was always taking responsibility and accountability from that entrepreneurial side for my own success. But also it's like I love doing entrepreneurial stuff too, right?
Yep.
And that kind of led to things today with FRC and being a part of the portfolio of our companies, which I know we could probably talk a little bit more about. But it's a fascinating time. I love to be busy, and that's kind of how we operate.
Absolutely. We can start at the beginning with FRC. How did you get involved? You look back at FRC's early years. As an entrepreneur especially, what core principle or decisions, I would say, most shaped who we are today as a company? And how did that create this awesome culture that we have now, right? I think it's a beautiful place to work. Everybody is very talented, very bright. How did you go about getting us here?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think the biggest thing is when FRC was actually an economic development project more than anything else. I was working on a doctorate probably in 2010, 2011, something like that. And, when you're doing your doctoral program, you have your thesis and all this sort of stuff. And I wrote a thesis. My thesis was economic and community redevelopment in post-industrial cities. And within that, I put a few years of research into that while I was working on my program. And really what came out of it was this whole thing around, how to redevelop the Rust Belt cities. And really, the reality of it is that I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, and so Erie was kind of my little pet project because that was my hometown. And it consisted of infrastructure, and one of the other things it consisted of was job creation. And so from there, it was kind of like almost like a plan or a roadmap that you were putting together to create something where you can have a community impact. And so I kind of tucked that thesis away. I never finished up my doctoral program, but what I ended up doing probably right around 2013 or 2014 is that I said, hey, I'm not going to finish this program, but boy, do I have a heck of a plan. And so let me start doing stuff. And I really honed in on real estate infrastructure and fixing buildings and things like that in the city center, in the core. Absolutely. And I focused in on Erie for doing that. And then it's about 2017, I ended up being in a spot where I just made a decision to say, okay, I'm doing these things. It's a lot of fun to do. Let me try to see if I can do the job creation piece to it. And that's kind of where FRC came from. And really, when thinking about it from what I was trying to accomplish, was obviously a piece of job creation, not only just in Erie, but within the industry. Part of the FRC thesis was, it was, hey, we don't have to be in DC to be successful. We can be, around the world and be successful. We just have to have great people that's going to work with us. And you kind of hone in on a certain profile and people who could be successful in this particular model. We are very fortunate to be able to attract people to do that. You being one of them, right?
Absolutely.
Patrick being one of them. And being able to be a part of the ride. And it's very, very much, if I would say one of the core characteristics or core things for this company was really around talent attraction of the right people who I trust to represent myself and our brand, our logo, right? And so being able to grow from that is really the essence of what we were trying to do. Because it's almost like back in the day, I was a bartender, right? When I was in college, I was a bartender. And you would always want to train somebody who was never a bartender, because you could at least train them.
Correct.
Right? Here's the way to do it. Here's at least my way, but here's the way to do it.
Yep.
And it was successful, so here you go. And to be able to pass that on in this type of space, in the tech space and the government space, which is an industry I love, it's the same type of thing. If you can collect smart people who are ambitious and hungry and they want to learn, sky's the limit. And so that was sort of I would say kind of our core characteristics that we were looking for. Again, the other part was just around the community piece of, okay, job creation. Like every position that we have up in Erie is actually a new position to Erie. And every dollar that flows through our contracts and our business is actually a new dollar in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is actually like one of the core reasons of why I did it, right? And to be able to do these other things in DC and kind of our growth and all that sort of stuff. I mean, these are always great things, and it's fast moving, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, it was an honor actually going to Erie and seeing the City of Commerce meeting and seeing all the people glued, seeing the economic development firsthand. I've never been to Erie, Pennsylvania other than October. And I was so impressed with, you could tell the transition of essentially from where Erie most likely was to where it is today. The Mercantile Building, I went to the third floor. I saw the empty space.
Yeah.
You go to the second floor, you see the new office, right? Very impressive, but you can also tell that the community is rallying behind FRC's growth. And you can see firsthand, all the guys from Gannon, right, that are interns. I can't tell you, I came from Florida. There was nothing like that partnership program to get into essentially having a very good, stable, and healthy job. And to see the opportunity just blossoming, especially for the guys that are in their early 20s that are kind of, it's the hardest years to figure it out.
Right.
You said you were a bartender. I would have loved to have had a drink from you, by the way. But those years are kind of like the trials and tribulations where, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What career path am I going to take? And to see that firsthand, especially, the Ties, the Jacks, the T's, the Toms, everybody else in between. For my first day walking into that Erie office, it was overwhelmingly, joyous. Everybody was happy to see me, introduce themselves. It was very impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, it's, and what I think really one of the cool things that we actually have with FRC as well is that we have that type of culture inside the company, which is great. We've had people like the Corey Luthringers, the Gail Trones, the Hannah, that have been around since really the very beginning. Right. And
that's a testament in itself.
Yeah, just to even stick around and even put up with me for that long. Right? And, and things like that are actually, those are also compliments to the stuff that we've been working towards and trying to accomplish. And, it's definitely, I ask a lot out of you all from a sales perspective and generating revenue and providing value to customers and OEMs. And I take that on upon myself too. But the other part is that each one of you is a customer to me as well, right? Like with representing this company and making sure that, we're able to be responsible enough and fiscally responsible and things like that, because we impact not only just individuals, but their families and all of those sorts of things too. So it's this whole ecosystem that kind of gets developed as well that, you want to make sure that you're a positive steward towards.
Of course. No, I definitely say you nailed that, Jeremy.
Thanks.
No problem, dude. As federal missions and technology continue to accelerate, right, I think that you're probably the best person to answer this. What do you believe FRC does better than anyone else for our customers? I know what you do for all of us that work here, and it's very appreciated. But going forward, what do you see as our strongest trait?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be I think it's a mixture, Max. We really, when I sit there and identify and define our customers, we say that we have 4 customers. Right? We have our end users, our partners that we work with, our people, and our community. Right? So we look at those 4 areas as being actually a customer. And I think when it comes down to, the value add of that entire ecosystem, number one, it is one of these things I always tell every one of you guys. It is, as long as you do something, make a phone call, send an email, reach out to a partner, reach out to a customer, talk to a local representative or something as long as you do something, you've already put yourself in the top 10% of people out there, period. Do something. That's the first start, right? And I think it's around, some of the things that we do that's led to so much success within our company is that, I trust and empower everybody to be able to do something and take accountability for it. We have plenty of smart people around here that can help if something screws up or goes off the rails. That's okay. Because, and I've been in this conversation a lot where it's the point of going, somebody will come into my office and say, oh my gosh, I screwed this up. I need help. Oh my gosh. And someone might feel really bad about that and we get the problem fixed. But the reality is that at least you did something.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll fix it. And, as long as you learn from it, it's a learning experience. Correct. Because, in this type of world, in this type of thing, even from the entrepreneurial side, it's, and I know you guys are aware of this type of stuff too, that is very much, there's a lot of cuts, scratches, and scars, right? Yep. And you only get those by trying and learning lessons. And so being able to fix it going forward is the big thing. So I would say one of the things, like one of our biggest things of success, and again, cybersecurity, IT services, AI, education, things around data on the IT side of the house, right? Those are all important pieces of our strategy as a company to the market. But the reality is, if I would say from the core side of it that I look at, is that we empower you all to do that, right? And I trust that you all can do that. And I sit there and say, giving everybody the flexibility to be able to be themselves and take accountability and grow up and do it, right? And I think it's a lot of the things, right? Because we can all learn about tech,
Of course.
right? We can all learn how to talk to a customer, great. I can sit there and say, yes, our people are so engaged with our OEMs that we're an extension of them, right? I can say that, we position in the market, we're a subject matter expert to our end users. Yes, right? We have such a strong culture inside of our company that we are a great place to work. Yes, we put our money where our mouth is in spots where we help with redevelopment and community projects, volunteer time off, things like that. Yes. So it's like it's not just like one simple, this is exactly what it is. But, I would say that empowerment piece that we push. And the other thing I always sit there and tell people too, it's around, the world, it's an easy game if you do what you say you're going to do.
Amen.
And those are it, right? So we have that type of, I would say those are our strengths. We do what we say we're going to do, and we empower you all to be successful and go get it. And how do we help you get there?
100%. I think Jason that was his word of wisdom last week, was do what you say you're going to do. And back to my first job interview, that was his number one as well. And that definitely embodies the culture.
Yeah.
100%. Now, for the exciting part, right? Looking forward, I know that we may have another office, potentially same office. We don't know. Things are growing. In some cases, hyper expanding into excitement, right? Over the next 5 years, what must all of us, FRC, in your eyes, what must we do properly, correctly, to remain a trusted partner for the defense and national security missions that we are responsible for? I think that it's another reason why I'm here, is I feel that we are serving our country and every integrator, OEM. That's a huge part of, I think, a lot of our reasons getting up early and running into the office is because we're proud to be here, right? So in your eyes, what do we have to do right to keep on track with our intelligence agencies, our defense agencies, et cetera?
Yeah, no, actually, that's a great question. It's always fun to look into the crystal ball and try to talk to it, right?
Yeah.
But, and you're right. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we always get to do around here with even the client base on the U.S. Fed side of the house it's very much a privilege to be able to do that and support those folks who are either, in some areas in very much in harm's way on our behalf, and working day in and day out to, not only make, our country a better place, but the world a better place. And, being able to support that is absolutely always a privilege. When I would say looking forward from our side, because, you guys know this, and I'll say this out loud. It is in that 5-year period, that's our stretch to, how do we get to $500 million and $1 billion revenue, right? And that's the question that we have on the board over the period that you're even talking about, right?
Absolutely.
I think when we're looking at it, FRC over its existence has pretty much morphed into something new at one point it was every 6 months it was new. It was just a different type of company. But, I would still say, year in and year out, we look very different today than even what we did 12 months ago. And it's always this project that you continually try to, you're always in search of trying to be better with it, right? What's the saying, how it goes? It's you might never reach perfection, but you can reach excellence. Correct. Right? Being able to look at it from that perspective, we're trying to achieve perfection, and hopefully along the way we get really, really good at being a great company like FRC. But it is, things for us around, expansion further into the U.S. with more space, and be able to get, attract more talent into the organization. We're getting into a few things around global markets, looking overseas as well, and trying to be aggressive in that space. I love the positioning that we have coming up with things around education. I think that's going to be a very big play for us, but still staying along the lines of like cybersecurity and trying to be forward thinking in new technologies like AI. But, the common term in all of those happens to be data. And building out our strategy around data is going to be, really a key to our success moving forward. And not only thinking about it from a perspective of, having the right solutions for our clients in order to provide them value through those types of technologies, but also to help them efficiently do their job, become more efficient and more streamlined in their day in and day out workflows, and teach them really how to consume this technology or any of these technologies, right? Because I think we're in such a dynamic phase of our lives right now where, especially with things like AI, that it's around, 15, 20 years ago, we were talking about cloud. And I still have a book on my shelf. It's actually called Consumption Economics. And it was really, the gist of the book was around, teaching people not about cloud technology, but teaching them how to consume the technology, because that's what helped grow, your comfort level and your presence. And as a business, that helped you grow because people became more comfortable with it. We're in another phase right now with AI especially, and that's kind of where you see stuff in the future around the Flagship Institute on the education and content creation platform that we've created that's going to be really honing in on educating that market and helping them consume the technology and help them to adapt their lifestyles to it, because it's a thing that's going to happen anyways.
Correct. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. So it's like, hey, let's help the market do that. And that was our use case for the Flagship Institute. And then, some of our use cases out there for some of our other portfolio companies, whether it's like the CyberPro or ISM or Vector Resources, it's all really around trying to fix a problem. CyberPro and ISM are really commercial focused type of companies for small businesses and nonprofits. Help them with risk mitigation, right? It's an easy concept, but it's a problem. Vector is an industrial base and construction management expert. Works in the Department of Energy, but fixes a problem, right? And so, I think as long as we continue to fix these problems and look at it from like that perspective, we'll continue to grow as a company. We'll continue to have relevance in the market, and not only relevance in the market, but mutual relevance with our OEMs and our partners that we work with.
I appreciate you touching on those other companies. I think we'll bring those up on another podcast with you.
Yeah, like the plug. It was a nice plug.
That was excellent.
Yes.
Especially from last week. It was pretty funny, everybody. We were in Erie, and I didn't know how diverse the company portfolio was until Jeremy stood up. And there's a PowerPoint slide. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Look at all of these different opportunities, large companies, is a testament to how we're scaling, right? And providing solutions. Before I sign off here, as an entrepreneur, right, because this I think is a huge question for a gentleman like yourself, what was the first entrepreneurial bone in your life where you said, you know what, I'm going to do this myself, I'm going to take the reins and build something?
The first time in my life?
Yeah, I know.
That's a good one. I will. Okay. When I was a kid, I collected baseball cards. So this is not a lot of people know this one, so this is kind of geeky, right? I love it. And one of the things I did in my bedroom is that I had like these kind of desks, tables in my bedroom, and I put a bed sheet over the skirt, like for a tabletop skirt, right?
Absolutely.
And throughout the room, I would display my my individual baseball cards. And then my friends would come over and we would either trade or they'd buy it, or I was almost like a little baseball card store.
Cool.
Right? And there I am, like 7 or 8 years old, doing that because that was kind of like my thing. And so and you guys know me as just, I'm a little bit, I'm always running at 1,000,000 miles a minute. I'm entrepreneurial, do a bunch of different stuff, but there's also a piece where, I'm a very, very analytical. And it's weird to say that, But of course, other funny story is my first major in college was actually mathematics. So when I got out with a marketing degree, that means I went backwards. Other things became important, but I had everything like, in order by number, alphabetical, like this whole thing mapped out to where I was just an operating little store. And here I am, like 7 or 8 years old doing it. And then I went into a paper route and all that kind of stuff too. So I've always had that bone.
That's awesome. 7 to 8 years old, man. These Pokemon card kids have no idea.
They have no idea. No idea. Actually, somewhere in my dad's house, these cards still exist and they're in boxes somewhere. So we still have those.
That's incredible.
I know. So if anybody wants to buy a baseball card collection,
I was going to say,
yeah.
FRC eBay store, watch out. Jeremy,
we'll get that added on Sue contract anytime soon.
I'm amazed, man. I'm amazed.
No, Max, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for joining us on our first FRC debrief.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Many more with you.
That's awesome. No, appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Max. Thank you.